be able to get some pointers on how to handle him. So what we try to do, man, we try to put some things out there, man, so people can have just the correct function, on manhood behavior. Man, today, real good topic, excellent topic, man. Men suppressing their pain. I think it's a huge one because a lot of times, man, men think, being a man is a person that don't have pain. You know what I'm saying? Being a man is a person that can't say I need help. Being a man is a person that thinking, man, if I cry, I'm soft. Or if I have a vulnerable point, maybe I'm weak. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, my co-host, Taiwan, which y'all know who that is. But our guest today is my man, my brother, Dion Johnson. Man, I can go on and on with his introduction when it comes to our relationship. You know what I'm saying? But, certain people they just don't make a lot of. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to say, man, he one of one. You know what I'm saying? So this my guy. You know what I'm saying? And, I shared part of his journey. But I'm quite sure I'm going to learn some things today that I did not know. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully, man, it's helpful to you all out there that may be going through some of the similar things. And, he'll help you navigate, through this particular topic. You had something to say before we bring Dion on?
I guess when I heard about the topic, I heard what we spoke on.
Mm-hmm.
Over my mind, because I can't speak from that point of view. I don't know nothing about that.
Right.
I miss my kids the whole time. I ain't raised them like that. So
Right.
from a man point of view that raised their child and had to do it, I definitely want to tune in.
Mm-hmm.
So to all the men out there that probably haven't raised their kids, or even if you did raise your kid, this is something that I think we need to hear.
Yes, sir.
So I'm definitely with it.
Yes, sir. You want to introduce yourself, bro?
So, Dion Johnson. I really don't know a whole lot about this experience, but I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm always transparent about everything. So, if it's something that somebody may want to talk about, some things that people may not know that they may want to ask, I'm always open to it.
Right. So in that, so what we do, so you understand the whole platform, Dion, we let the crowd view us. You know what I'm saying? So we don't view them, so it's people on there, look, they already done chimed in. You know what I'm saying? So we can see the live there, start putting the questions and all that kind of stuff. So we pretty much interact with each other. We barely even look at that joint. We act like we in the basement. We act like we at the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? And we just vent some of the things that, man, that somehow ails, some of the things going on, some of the stuff that, man, you always can go 2 and 3 hours about. You know what I'm saying? So we do the same thing on the man code. So in regard to that particular subject, like myself and Taiwan just said, we not versed in that subject. You know what I'm saying? So it's women on here, it's men on here. You know what I'm saying? We already got quite a few people already looking at it. You know what I'm saying? And, so I put out there, it was 2 brothers, Clarence Dorsey and Dion Johnson. These 2 men, they was in a relationship, a marriage, at a young age, and they lost their spouse, you know what I'm saying, unexpectedly. And in that, normally, women bury us, you know what I'm saying? And
That's the expectation.
That's the expectation. They bury us, and the females normally navigate through it, and it seems like they do a pretty good job.
Single mom.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But when they fall on the man shoulders, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and so, and we don't even know if they get the same kind of support.
Yeah.
Like, people kind of huddle around the woman, so Dion can probably help us out with telling us, one, when the experience happened, you know what I'm saying? 2, what was your thinking? And I know it was new for you, it was shocking, unexpected, and you had your baby girls, you know what I'm saying? And,
How many girls?
2 biological daughters. Amani, the oldest, she was 6 at the time. Ayan was born November of '99. And Crystal was diagnosed with postpartum cardiomyopathy with her follow-up visit. And at the time, we was all working in the hospital. I actually was working on a cardiac unit for over maybe like 5 years. And that was one thing I didn't have, I wasn't familiar with, postpartum cardiomyopathy or whatever. Crystal was not a high-risk pregnancy. She didn't have no underlying issues. So she did the follow-up, and, you know, like I said, she was diagnosed with postpartum cardiomyopathy. And, you know, we both figured that, you know, it was something that we'd get through it like everything else in life and go back to being normal. And so that January of 2000, I came home, and she had fell out, or she was slumped over. And so it was odd. I knew that it was really serious. I mean, of course, you never see something like that.
Right.
I've never seen it before and don't want to see it again. But just, you know, seeing it just flipped everything.
Yeah,
I went into shock. I went into shock because I attempted to pick her up, and I couldn't pick her up.
You have it?
I mean, of course, you know, it's like, you know, because she was lifeless. But at the same time, I just, by me going into shock, I didn't have
Distract
the
yourself.
spirit, and everything just kind of was all over. And so,
You was out your mind, probably.
of course.
Yeah.
Did you know she was like it? Did you see her?
Yes. And because, like I said, you know, just seeing her like that, I knew that it was really, you know, it was really serious.
And how old was you on it?
In 2000.
That was 23 years ago.
Yeah. So I was touching on my 30th year. So I would have been 28 to 72.
Right.
Yeah, I would have been 28 at the time, and she was 27.
Right. Dang.
Yeah.
And I know that's a hell of a life shock and change.
Yeah, I mean, because they say, you know, men die and women suffer. So we've gone through, you know, the challenges and the experiences of losing a lot of the homies or, you know, certain
We know how to
men.
react. Now, you had to learn how to survive. Huh?
So, I mean, in my case, I think a lot of times it's something that you must already, you know, it has to be something that you got to already have it, because you're not going to find it. Or it's two ways that, you know, life can flip you. Either, as they say, you'll become better or you'll become weaker. That which don't kill us or destroy us can make us stronger, but you can go either way.
Yeah.
You don't know at that time.
I'm really curious to say, like, when it happened and you went through the.
I guess everything was like in a blur for a while, and then you know, you coming through the fall, and you realize that, dang, I'm gonna be the one that has to curb this. So when that started to be the reality, like what made you like muscle up and like, I got this, I know I got it.
So, like Shooter said, there's some things that I can share now. But back at the time, the opioid crisis that they're talking about, I was doing opioids, I was doing Percocets, I was doing Vicodin, I was doing sleeping pills. I was already a heavy drinker. And then E had came, and you know, that was during that time when E was, you know, the popular drug. And I was doing all of that. And so, like now, when people talk about the opioid crisis and the fact that a lot of people are dropping, you know, because the effects of the opioid, which, you know, it sedates the body, it slows down the heart, and, you know, that's a vital organ.
Yeah.
I'm doing all of that. You know, like I said, I'm doing E, opioids, I'm drinking, I'm working every day, and I got two daughters, one who's still an infant, like I said, Amani was 6 at the time, and so the fog, you stay in the fog for a long time. You know, a lot of different people, you know, offer their support, but you in the fog. So you kind of, you know, when people was reaching out to me, you know, you so hurt, and in a lot of ways you bitter. You know, we already got all of the PTSD from life before that.
Growth, just
Yeah, we already, you know, just dealing with trying to recover from, you know, the environment. Like I tell people a lot of times, man, I say, look, man, I've been in Anacostia for a lifetime. I didn't move from this part of Southeast, this part of DC or Maryland or Virginia. I've been in Anacostia for a lifetime. And so the reputation that comes with it is what we live through.
Right.
And so you coming from that. You coming from, you know, in my case, my sister and I, you know, we raised each other. You know, so we didn't have no male figures, no fathers, no big brothers, no big cousins. You know, it was like just little Gail and little Dion. My mom's had her issue. My father had his issues. So you go through all of that. And so now when that had happened, everything, you know, just rushed inside of me, you know what I'm saying? And I was bitter. You know, I was angry. You know, I ain't really cared too much.
And not to cut you off, I want to say this. I want to make this point because I was around him heavy during this time. And so the stuff he's saying he was using, I didn't even know. Now, we was drinking.
You know, pill popping ain't popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, pill
Yeah,
popping ain't
we
popular.
was drinking and we was having our conversations, but again, I didn't know what to say to him during that time. You know what I'm saying? I just show up. You know what I'm saying? And we'll have a drink and we'll be talking and, you know, he being strong as he always is, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm learning something new today. You know what I'm saying?
How was that? Him showing up, just being there. How was that?
Oh, it was just giving you back, you know, the life that was being taken away. So you need those things. I ain't want to say small things. You need those things which people say small things. It was big things. The jokes, the laughter, the music, the experiences of, you know, relationships. You know, I don't want to say too much because a lot of those relationships have blossomed. In some cases, those relationships ended. But those real experiences that, you know, like I said, was just kind of giving you back that life that had been snatched away. The normalcy of it. You know, let's be just regular men. And so that was in abundance coming from Shooter. It was, you know, the experiences that he was sharing with me. You know, he was coming into his business ventures. You know, the ministers at the mosque. Come on out to the mosque. Hey, we got a performance with Vaughn. You know, up in Adams Morgan. The food. You know, let's get some of that food. I mean, just these
I
little
just had mercy.
tangibles. And so it was just giving me back, you know, just a breath of fresh air. It was giving me back that life in those little, now I can say little, it was in moments and it was in spurts. What I was saying about with pill popping, don't nobody gotta know because it's a pill. That's why I think, you know, it's not popular, but at the same time, I see where it's taking the devastation, you know, but I'm surprised that, you know, it didn't kill me back at that time.
What was the understanding of your girls? Because one daughter was born through her mom, but never got a chance to even can remember no time with her because she was an infant.
Right.
But then your 6-year-old had got 6 years with her. So how was that experience? Trying to even explain that.
Well, I said that was the saddest day of my life. I remember, you know, when, because I had taken Amani to school that morning. And so that was the last time she had seen her mom. So I had taken her to school. And I did not tell Amani that day. I remember the following day sitting on the floor. And I couldn't make anything up. You know, I just don't know how to tell good stories.
Right. Man.
And so when she had asked about her mom, you know, I couldn't make it up. I didn't say that she was in heaven. I didn't say that she'll be right back. I said that mommy had passed away. And that was the saddest day of my life. You know, that was the saddest day of my life. All of the things that have happened and things that continue to happen to this day, that was the saddest day for me, telling Imani that, you know, her mom's had passed away.
Yeah, that's tough.
I can imagine that.
That's tough. That's
You know,
tough.
putting it in perspective, slowing it up and really looking at you right now, like, dang. Like, I don't want to do some stuff, but I'm looking at all three of us and like, all of us got our journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's gonna be whenever you put a few black men from DC together, all of them had their journey, but I definitely applaud how you came about that journey. Cause I mean, we're gonna all go through stuff, so the way you came about it and you manned up right there, I respect that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a tough jump, and so at that time, I don't know. I'll ask him, but at that time, I had my daughter living with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sade, my oldest girl, and so he was witnessing that. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I don't know. I know we was talking during that time, around that time, about that. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I had a big support cast, though. You know what I'm saying? So I had people that was very supportive of me, and his experience was a little different because they lost somebody. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mine, I made a choice. You know what I'm saying? But he got a chance to witness that. You know what I'm saying? He got a chance to witness how we were interacting. He got a chance to be in the house around us, too, to see how we was operating the whole 9 yards. And, you know, at that time, when I would think about him, I was hoping at that time that maybe it was something that he would see even in that. To be like, man, I can make this shit happen. My man doing it. I know I could do it. You know what I'm saying? We birds of a feather. You know what I'm saying? But it was because we were all young. You know what I'm saying? That was a hell of a time and a hell of an experience. Go ahead.
I mean, we can revisit that time. Another thing that people just, you know, of course, when life, because it changes so much, how soon we forget. At that time, it was the end of the world. It was 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was millennial, man. They said in 2000, you know, the world is going to explode and implode.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, the planes were supposed to drop from the sky, and computers were supposed to just stop.
Yeah.
And so,
911 already happened? Or about to
no,
happen?
no,
About to happen.
911 was about to happen.
Yeah.
But what I'm putting into context was, and again, you know, another thing that I tell people, it came to an end for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was January.
Right.
January, you know, 2000, that, you know, everything was just supposed to stop. Everything was supposed to be over. And so that's what ended up happening.
To you, yeah, personally,
Yeah. So you already had all of the conspiracy theories. You already had the doomsday preppers. You already had people that, we all fragmented. You know, they say mental health. And, you know, that's a whole nother subject, you know, with that. But we all mentally fragmented. So at that time, it was like, man, you know, things about to get a lot worse. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh yeah, what's that? In my case, and what I was saying about, and again, I use little crazy cliches, whatever, you're born, you are. Meaning that I didn't feed into that. I didn't feed into, you know, well, the world gonna come to an end. I'm like, look, we gonna figure out something.
Right.
We're gonna figure out something.
Yeah.
I'm not coming to an end. So for the universe to, you know, hand me that, it was like, oh, yeah, that's extremely devastating. You can't use the word hump. You know, it was devastation. You know, it was if that, not that it could happen, now that has happened, you have the understanding that, you know, all things are possible, and it's not always in your favor. In most cases, it's not in your favor.
Right.
You know, so you know, that was the context of it. That, you know, it was the millennial world coming to an end, and here you go.
Let me ask you this: what was the because other men gonna see this, and some men may be already in that experience or in that journey, and you know, you had you know, you've had 23 years now to be in it, and you know, I know the healing is still going on, right?
Lifetime,
Yes, sir. Lifetime of healing. Are you able to point out any vulnerabilities and how you were able to get through them? So if anyone listening to this, you know, because you know the male, you know, like we said in the beginning, men think it's weak to really be in pain, or it's weak to ask for help, or it's weak to express that, man. Look, man,
Let me say something about it, because I don't think we have room to be that. I know what's said, I know the message we try to send, but like in his case, in your case, like, you just have to do it. You don't have time to do it. By the time it's time for us to step up, it's either we leaving, wife, child mother, wife left us, or you just end up in a bad situation where you have to deal with it. You don't have time to be weak.
right.
So like for the black man, I know they always saying you have to be sensitive, you can't always be tough, but that's our reality. Like we don't have time. We just have, like he said, you born who you are. Things gonna happen, you're gonna have to deal with them. So do we shit, like I don't think it's, what is the benefit in us? And I hear that, the black man becoming sensitive or weak.
Desensitized.
Yeah, like we need to be strong. I think we need to be a little stronger for real, because the stuff that's happening gonna continue to happen. Maybe in another form, we're gonna continue to be aimed at. I mean, I listened to a John the other day on the Facebook, and the Hispanic guy was saying the problem with black folks is this, and that. I'm like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are you? People always, how you gonna diagnose us?
Right.
But we gonna always be diagnosed because we always going through something. Well, to me, I don't think we have the time to be weak. Like, I look at him right now, it look like he came through the fall, but I know he still have his moments. We all gonna have them. I don't think he ever had time to be.
Or I feel like, you know, we're more so tribal, meaning that there's some weak motherfuckers out here. Is it okay to curse?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
There's some weak motherfuckers out here. You know, and so, you know, of course, everybody deal with pain and experiences, you know, from perspective, and you know, they deal with it different. But I'm affiliated and associated with, you know, these type of tribes, these types of men, these types of black men. And so, what I didn't have, I was going to get it from my affiliation with the man that I'm affiliated with, the tribe that I'm affiliated with. You know, because being around people who, and I can't really speak on it because I'm not going to, you know, affiliated or be associated with sucking shit. You know, so I can't speak on it. I don't even know. You know, some things we try to question. Why I can't question it, because it just doesn't fit into what we make up. Yeah, it's like, oh, I expect him or I expect them to do that, but I don't have that expectation when it comes to others, and I didn't have that expectation when it came to myself. But when reality sets in, you know, I don't have all of the answers, and you know, that's another thing that humbles you. You know, where you. You know, sometimes you just gotta be real still.
You
gotta be real still, and the universe operate in ways that if it's meant for me, then you know, hopefully I catch it. And so that's what I was working off of. You know, just I wasn't moving, and so that's why I was self-medicating at the same time, because I was purposely trying to calm down and keep still and numb myself by not, you know, getting into the things that I did get into, which was, and again, you know, I'm gonna be as transparent as possible when it came to relationships and women.
I was about to go into that.
You know, you have people that have was preconceived about how to move, when to move, and why. I was reckless. I was reckless, and but I always knew that I wanted to be a better me. That was the expectations, and that was where my wife had held me in her heart. Even though she knew me for a lifetime, so she knew I had some garbage with
Right. Right.
That's incredible. You know that, when somebody loves you, they call you out on your bullshit, like you lying. So you building from, okay, these were her expectations, but at the same time, now I'm on some sucker shit. Now I'm, in situations where I'm doing things when it came to, the need and the desire of a woman. That companionship of a woman. And having 2 daughters. And
Yeah, I know that was a hell of an experience.
was
you protective or overprotective, or you feel like, or you would like what was your space like?
it was goofy, man.
You had to walk
It was
through
goofy.
it.
You know what I mean? You trying to do something that you don't have no blueprint, which was, of course, if, let's say, for example, once I was able to actually get involved with a woman. And so how do you go about finding time in a space? Because, I kept our home. And I have a room, my daughters have a room. And so it was this guilt factor of, okay, it's a woman who I wanted, spend time with, who, I couldn't move around a lot. So I'm goofy, like, okay, I could plan a time where my daughters are asleep, and you just all over the place. So you're trying to plan this time,
Right.
but you're guilty because, like, it shouldn't even be no time for that.
Right.
But at the same time, in my imperfection, in my flaws, you're trying to make plans to do something where you have guilt, you have the protection that you want for your daughters. But with that, what ended up happening was, I became, looking back at it, I felt like, I became a bad guy. I
Coming
became
through
a bad guy.
that, coming through what you went through, you think you became a bad guy?
It was, I believe, a time, that I was really being a bad guy.
So you saying the way you was trying to get your pain off, maybe you was dealing with women in a
The way that I was dealing with women,
Okay.
and what it was that I was offering, and the fact that in any experience that I've had, and I'm gonna say for a lifetime, the relationships that I've had, I think that women always looked out for my best interest.
Right.
You know,
Yes, sir.
I've always felt that way. And so during that time, you had women who really was, looking out for my best interest. But I didn't really have their best interest at heart.
Right.
And I didn't really have what I would have wanted to have in order to offer in a situation where, you got a woman who knows about your situation,
Right.
who knows that you have these 2 daughters. And so they was coming in a way that it was strong. It was like, I really want to be there for you and your daughters. So it wasn't me like, oh, when I meet a woman, man, you got to be there for my daughters, and, me making these terms and etc. It was like,
You was being blessed.
yeah.
But were you, at the moment, do you feel you were unable to, like, be with a woman? Like, I don't know if I want to open up to that again.
The guilt was the timing, and it was how I knew everybody felt about my wife and what everybody was expecting of me. And what I'm saying about that is, so people feel like, a month is too soon for you to see anybody. Maybe 6 months or a year. And the fact that, like I said, it was family members on both sides. So I'm the bad guy. I mean, rightfully and understanding without, me I'm not. That's why I'm saying being trained. I'm the bad guy. I'm not saying that to be sarcastic or
Right.
like I was a bad guy. No, I was a bad guy.
Right.
Didn't know what to do.
I don't
Didn't know how to
understand
do
that
it.
as a bad guy.
It's okay. It was.
I don't understand that
It was
as a bad guy.
okay.
You had no blueprint.
Right.
You was thrust into an unthinkable situation.
Mhm.
So finding your way through that is not supposed to be perfect. Like you supposed to look like a motherfucker that don't know what he's doing at first.
So here's a lost art. This is just my perspective. Accountability. So by me being accountable of what I was doing, I've changed and I've grown and I've evolved to where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm using a strong term, or I'm just saying it
No, I
in the way that I'm saying
I see
it.
you said
But
it from
me
the
putting-
manual. Yeah.
Me putting it hard on myself
Yeah.
and knowing that I did a lot of things the way that I should not have done things has allowed me to evolve. And I always wanted to be a better me. But at that time, I was goofy, man.
So
That's great. That's great that you were able to see that and put that together.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a hell of a character. And so with that, so you did end up in a situation. And now just says something on that joke. No, she enjoyed their vulnerabilities and all that. I mean, Mike said something too. That's we check to see what they're saying, get a little feedback. But in that, so you end up now you married,
Yes.
and like Taiwan was just asking, you know what I'm saying, and you opening up to that idea again, and knowing what your first experience was, you know what I'm saying, was there any kind of holdback or defense mechanism? Because now you may be saying to yourself, like say for instance, you said all the women, or when you was getting any kind of inkling that you was receiving from a female was always helpful, and they was always trying to provide a service. They say, I want to support you. Was there any time, like even when you chose your wife, was there any time where your defense got up, you like, she may not understand right now, saying, I can't revisit this again if this happened again. Or, yeah, so.
It was those two things. I didn't want to have, I didn't want to conceive any more children,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to get married again.
Mm-hmm.
And
So I know that was tough.
yeah, because again, when
When
women fall in love with you,
at your best interest, like
and
you
they're gonna
said.
give you the world. That's the world.
Right.
The world is, to be able to, give you a child
Mm-hmm.
and to love you more than you can possibly love yourself.
Right.
And so I didn't want to get married again, and I didn't want, anyone to get pregnant again.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the two things that I was throwing up as far as, if you want to call it a defense mechanism, whenever somebody would kind of get that close to you
Right.
and want to give you the world, because it can be snatched away.
And
That's scary. I can't look at it like that's
Oh,
scary.
that's devastating.
Right.
That's what you
that's
know.
the scary part right there.
It
That's
can-
hard, man. That's hard.
Times we living in, or we've lived through. That's
See, your situation's so unique in a way because, like, say like me, I go through what I went through. I said, I ain't doing that no more. You can't say that. You saying that made you become like unopen to the blessings that came back into your life.
oh yeah.
When you call them.
Yes, sir.
95.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just so y'all know, y'all think if y'all know what's going on, y'all probably if y'all saying, man, they got an engineering malfunction. There's 4 people up there now. No, it's Clarence Dorsey, who also was one of the guests who were coming on and sharing his experience with us. Dion, and he's in a good space with him. Then we get you share yours also. But go ahead, Dion. What was the point we was just on?
But what I was speaking on, the difference between the lessons. I mean, what I went through, my lesson was like, man, don't do that no more.
Right.
And he was just speaking about when he was looking at it like, I ain't trying to open up there no more. It wasn't good.
Right.
So it helped me.
Mm-hmm.
But in his case, you have to open back up to those blessings in your life. Like you let your wife in. And I'm quite sure she's a blessing to you.
Oh, yeah, the queen.
Yeah, no question. You see how you say that? That's
Yeah. So with that, so you open up to that. What was that like? Did you get caught off guard? Or was it?
Instant blessing.
Yeah. What was it? One day you just let go and said, "I gotta stop this defensive mechanism," or like what was the process of that? 'Cause I don't know how to describe it. I don't know what words to use, but
Well, the
maybe
process for me, it was really, you know, a lot of surprises because actually before I had started dating Katrina, the person that came into my life, you know, she was a lot younger than me.
Mhm.
And so her background and where she was coming from, when she started to take things serious, it surprised me. Like, why would this younger woman, coming from the background that she coming from, she was still, you know, had the groups of girlfriends, you know, they were still going out, you know, to the parties and just doing things that, you know, at that time and at the age that she was doing the things that, you know, that they was doing that I was like, okay, it's hit or miss with her and I.
Mhm.
And so it surprised me when she had started to, you know, take me serious and express certain feelings that led up to us actually being in a relationship at that time.
Mhm.
And what ended up happening in that situation, she did get pregnant.
Mhm.
And I don't know the term, but you know, it ended up in her tubes.
Mhm.
I forgot what they call it,
Yeah.
the medical term.
Right. She had to get a tubal ligation. I'm
Okay.
familiar with that. Working in the hospital center.
So I'm like, come on. Come on, because it you know, it I believe, you know, it required for it to even, you know, end up getting blood transfusion. You know, just a lot of things because she was
So now
internally bleeding.
you thinking, here we go again.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
Here we go again. Right.
Yeah, so that was that surprise.
Mhm.
And it broke me. It broke me all the way down. It broke me all the way down. And, you know, I remember, you know, as we went through the process and, you know, fortunately she had gotten better. And I remember sitting in the car one day and like a kid, man, I quit it.
Dang.
But you wasn't running from her. You was running from the possibilities of what were you running?
I was hurt and devastated by how I hurt her and what I had put her through.
As far as what could becoming pregnant?
And the fact that it almost killed her.
Wow.
Because he just went through that.
Right.
Just lost his
And you
life.
blamed yourself for what she was.
Of course.
Wow. But let me hold up right there. So you, I don't really know the guy. So
Dawson.
Yeah. I seen your name on this.
Always,
song.
you always
Damn.
come on the jump.
I'm trying to make like is there a connection? Like
Yeah, Dorsey lost his wife.
I probably is the reason why we having this because I made the suggestion a week by y'all. 1 week I was watching y'all and he was asking for topics.
Right.
I made the suggestion,
Mhm.
so that's what I fit into. He called me and just like I just told him, I'm coming from granddaddy duties. And I was shooting from Baltimore, my grandkids as a track meet.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I had everything planned, and when he called me, I was on the road. Come ahead.
You hear that?
And so,
I have a question because what he was just saying. Can you relate to that? Like,
well, not in that sense, but the pain of losing his wife, I can't. I lost my wife in 2018. Matter of fact, what's the date? I'm sorry, May 2nd,
May.
it was 5 years.
Oh, May 2nd, 5
May
years.
2nd, 5 years. So what me and him was discussing was how to deal with that and how to recover and move forward. And I thought that would be a good topic.
that was a great topic.
And so, you know, because it went through my struggle with it, I had no outlets. How many men can you talk to lost their wife because a lot of times it's women that lose the men. You know what I'm saying? I had some people that was in the same situation, older than me, but by me trying to look for help for my pain and asking them questions on how to deal with certain situations, it brought up their pain, so they was reluctant to give me the wisdom to say, look, young man, you gotta, they give you one day at a time, man, you be all right. Who wanna hear that, man?
Okay, so now, what would y'all tell somebody? Like, what can you tell somebody just going through that?
Well, it would be based on the question for me, or
they
the
listen.
situation that
Let's
they're in.
say, how the hell did I get through this?
I actually lived that. Now,
Yeah.
I have a good close friend of mine that recently lost his wife earlier this year, and he reached out to me. And the first thing I told him to do was the first thing I did. Cry for it. Once all the funeral and the hoopla of everybody else missing, their family member or whatever, take your some time and cry by yourself.
Get some of it off.
The reason why I felt that was most effective for me because us as men, we always look as to being strong. And at no point do we want to show weakness around anybody else. Right? So first step is that, cry.
So when you went to cry, what were you? What you do?
You
went in your room. Like, what did you do?
Actually, I was still staying in the apartment where I found my wife.
Oh, y'all got similar hope.
Yeah, that's why I said that because he said, I remember him saying how he cried.
Yeah, so
That's
he
how I'm
found
trying to find out.
his wife. Where you found your wife at, those?
I was staying in an apartment behind Crystals.
Mm-hmm.
I came home from work. And I'm talking
Similar.
about 45 minutes. You on the phone, babe, what you want me to bring you home to eat? I don't know, we'll talk about it when you get home. Okay, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
From that phone call, she talked to my daughter for 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
After that, she checked out, took me an hour to get home from Wisconsin to.
So when you
and
walked
she was
in,
gone.
okay. So did you know she was gone, or you?
Yeah.
What? If you don't mind, what was that experience like walking in the house?
Well,
Because you just got off the phone.
to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
how I left my wife is we have an oversized chair for me.
Mm-hmm.
I left my wife where she was laying across the chair with her feet up, right?
Right.
And I kissed her, but she was little. How she came home, how I came home, she was laying on the floor.
She was on the floor.
She was on the floor,
And
face down.
And no one was in there with her.
Now, when I rolled her over, her nose was bleeding. I still called 911, said, y'all want me to get you this address?
Mm-hmm.
I think my wife, well, I said she's unresponsive.
Right.
Me being a 10-year lifeguard, had come to CPR.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When they walked in on me, I'm in a bucket of sweat.
Right.
I already know she gone,
Right.
but the protector in me say, you can do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel myself cracking rib.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to
Right.
blow her lungs up.
Right.
I mean, I really never, at the time, for maybe about 3 weeks after,
Mm-hmm.
I put that somewhere where I ain't even worried about that.
Yeah, we do that.
Because I didn't, well, the thing is, I didn't have time. See, I got 3 grown children at this time and 8 grandbabies.
Right.
So my mind go from her to them.
And you ain't never get a chance to really.
And I ain't
release.
never take care of me.
Right.
So how can I be strong for somebody else when I can't be strong for me?
That's them engrams, man.
And so,
I hope we listen. That's the engrams. So,
No, I mean, I'm listening to that. That's
Yeah,
the part
yeah.
that I'm still having problems with, man.
well, you gotta, I mean, this ain't like going outside and dodging a car. This, you know what I'm saying? This, your queen.
Yeah.
This, the thing that you put on a pedestal above every female in your life.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yes.
16 years, they're gone.
Right.
You don't recover from it. You just get better at the pain.
So the difference, his children were young, your own were older. How was that, he said when he had to break the news to his children, and I'm quite sure it's similar, he said it was the worst day of his life. Cause he sat on it for a day before he even told his 6-year-old. You know what I'm saying? And when you had to go now sit in front of it, you got children and grandchildren.
Yeah.
And we already know what the role that Mom Duke's playing everybody like
That's
she
right.
number one. You just said that.
That's right.
You just said so when you take that to them,
Well, I was fortunate didn't have to do that.
okay.
Their parents, that was their parents.
Right.
What I got beat up at and really emotionally beat up was after the funeral. And then, here comes 5 under 10 or 5 under 12, 12 and under come and say, Granddad, why grandma ain't coming back?
Them the grandbabies.
My grandbaby.
Yeah.
Granddad, where grandma was? Granddad, you gonna pick up grandma?
So it ain't even kicked in yet.
Granddad, can I come over the house to see grandma tomorrow? And I'm sitting in her funeral, and all 9 of my grandbabies are touching me. And I'm like sitting on the pew like, you know what I'm saying? And all of them are touching me. It was 8. Well, it was 8. Total 9, because my youngest daughter, baby son, she had it. But all of them are like, they just gotta touch me. And 6 of them crying.
Right. So I guess I want to get to, man, it's a tough one, man. Everybody's shining like, man, that's a good one. That's a good one. Ronnie, LeVay, what's good? Whitey, what's happening? Larry, what's up, homie? Nikki, what's good? Man, I knew this was gonna be a tough one, but like, I don't even know if I have the therapeutic questions to like, cause, okay, like I don't even know, man. I'm trying to pitch myself in. It's a tough one, man, because but you got people listening, man, and you know, like we're saying, somebody may go through that, you know what I'm saying, or may have already gone through that. And I don't know if we about to release some of them engrams for them, but like
My suggestion,
you moving on now,
suggestion,
where you at now?
is like, where I'm at now.
Where you at now?
I'm dating, but I find myself always gravitating towards my grandchildren. And the thing for me is to see my grandbabies, all of them, especially my granddaughters, they look like her. So, which is my youngest daughter, copy. I mean, personality down the line. So, I fight with the fact that I'm gonna kill the world to make sure my children and grandchildren are okay. But the pain of just being around them because I know they're attached to her is what my struggle is.
Right, because you a man, right? And so we all men sitting here, and you all got the similar experience. But so for me, Dorsey and Dion, you know what I'm saying? You know, you chime in, and then Dion, you chime in. So, man, we don't have control how this thing goes. So help me, like.
Well, this
Give us some help, because you saying you helping everybody else. You still ain't talking about how you helping yourself.
I'm gonna tell you the problem. This is where I'm at, my issue. I see y'all when y'all became at y'all weakest point, and I'm feeling it, and I guess I'm feeling like, shit. I guess that much. I'm gonna run from that pain. Like I don't know how to address that. So y'all saying that at some point it caught up to you and it just broke you down.
Nah, for me, I just gave it the time needed for me to be strong enough to just deal with it. See, for me, I'm gonna put it on the table.
But you're worried about your grandbabies and stuff.
That was my distractions
Okay.
from dealing with me.
Were you giving them a healthy relationship by you being by you?
No, they never didn't see. Granddad, let's go bike ride. Okay, and pick 4 of them up, throw everything on the truck. Let's go somewhere and ride.
Was you trying to compensate pain by
Well,
making sure you do everything they do? But was it pulling you further?
Cause that's what I'm saying. Like when you describe it like that, that's what I see when I say I'm running from it. I don't run from it.
No.
I try to occupy my time.
I
Other
didn't-
than dealing with it.
I didn't do that. if that was the case, I would have went right back to coaching football. Cause 2011, my wife asked me, like, stop coaching. You know I ain't getting stronger. Just to give a little history of me and my wife, 6 months up in newlywed, she had 2 heart attacks. So how I looked at life after that is every day's a blessing.
Right.
So every day I enjoy living with my wife. Every day, even if it was just us laying in the bed, I enjoyed the time. I was greedy about being with her. I gotta go to work. I'm done with that.
Right.
Be with her. I was greedy for just her touch, her sound, her kiss, her
Right.
anger, or whatever.
Right.
Because I wasn't expecting to get 16 years. That was my mindset.
Right.
So at a funeral, I didn't cry when it's thought. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I wasn't just being brave, but I was at the understanding that I enjoyed this woman for all the time the Lord blessed me with her. I have no regrets. I have no pain. I have nothing when it comes to her that would make me feel sad.
Right.
But you had a time to, I said, you kind of knew this
No.
was like the inevitable.
No. Now, yeah, she got a defibrillator, connected heart failure. After all that, let's do it, baby. Take a trip. She like bingo. I hate going in bingo play, but she wanna go.
Right.
Go ahead, baby. Take you, and I'm gonna sit outside till you ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Whatever she like to do, I take her and do it. I ain't gonna rely on nobody else.
Right.
I'm her responsibility. So, but what I did was I gave myself the time to deal with my children and grandchildren. Then I took the time for me. After that, I gave myself 3 years to mourn. So in those 3 years, I didn't deal with females. I didn't deal with any outside interruptions, but my family.
Your family.
So now, after 3 years, I tell my daughters, look, I'm ready. Going out here and be a grown man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever that consists of.
Right.
I have dealt with my grandbabies. I have dealt with y'all. Now it's time for me. During that 3 years,
So you open to that after 3 years. So you
Yeah.
open to that. And how's that going for you?
That's why I had a question for you. I want to know how your daughters like. What's your relationship with your daughters?
So, Amani was 6 at the time, and me and Shooter talk about this. We don't talk.
Bring your chair over a little bit deep.
I just
You
saw
go ahead.
Aeon was born at that time. I just saw this past weekend. And so that's a very long story. And so, which is totally opposite of his life and how he did things or how he does things. I can disassociate myself. And if we can have the best relationship, there's either fight or flight. I will not continuously fight with anyone. And so, in the case of my oldest daughter, we were very close. She ended up going off to school, and when she ended up going off to college, she had went away, and things had started to change. Whereas when we would communicate, at the time, I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if it was maybe her getting into, relationship with, guys, or I don't know if she was experimenting with, maybe drinking at the time, or possibly doing drugs. Didn't matter.
Right.
But I know that it was something that was extreme. But here's the thing that I know now, more so than ever. She lost her mom. And I think it just came at a time that we never really got to, talk and
Build on that.
have an understanding of what it really did to her.
Right.
You never breached that subject. Y'all never like sat down and spoke about it.
We haven't. We haven't. Of course, when she was young, and like how I said, I'm not a good storyteller, and I couldn't make things up. I couldn't say, "Look, mommy in heaven," or something that sounded nice enough. And so, her perspective, I still don't know, but it's her perspective, and I'm sure that it's a real strong case. It's a real strong case because obviously, like I said, man, we were extremely close. And so when things have started to happen, I said a few things. And then there was other people that had gotten involved. And when the people that had gotten involved had started to have conversations, I had to check them. And when I had to check them, I had to cut everybody off
Side of her.
so that things wouldn't get to a place that, we couldn't return.
Can I ask you a question, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever just scoop your daughter and spend a day with her?
Spend a lifetime with her.
All right.
Spend a lifetime with her.
So the reason why I asked that because I didn't have that similar situation. What I ran into was my grandbabies would not see me for maybe a week or two, and then when they see me, they run to me, hug me, and start crying and say, "I love you." You see what I'm saying? So we would have that. I had that cry moment with them. So that's when I had to not show the strength, but show the sympathy that, yeah, granddaddy rolling with you, Shaw. It's gonna happen. Even through all pain, us as men gotta always look for the teachable moment and put ourselves in our children's shoes. And over those course of those 3 years, that's when I made my relationships with my children and my grandchildren tighter. Because I focused inward, not just on me, but on them. See, most of the time when my grandchildren seen me, I was bringing grandma to them.
Right.
So now I have to replace grandma. Not everything that she did, but be granddaddy.
Mm-hmm.
Not grandma. And that's how they associate themselves with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like in his situation though, it's like your daughter didn't have a grandma. She didn't have a grandfather to go run to, right?
And she wasn't
Not
that old.
the
His children were older.
But
Not the
but
grandkids,
they speaking
but-
about the grandkids. The grandkids had mommy to run to and grandpa.
Right, they witnessed that. Neither one of them had benefits in it. So I don't want nobody to say, because I'm saying as a people. So the difference
The
is.
best of the two situations, that's how I would-
The difference, I ain't even gonna say the best, the difference is his children was grown and they started having children.
Right.
So now everybody got a relationship with grandma. In this case, Dion's children, one was just born and the other one was only 6. So they was almost like robbed of that whole experience. Their hands
But-
got it. So, go ahead.
So how you saying the closeness? So you have a 6-year-old, you have a newborn baby. So what I thought in my world that I was doing that I didn't have no blueprint about was all the school recitals, all of the doctor's appointments, all of the dental appointments, all of the parents teachers meetings for over however many years before she went to college. I was taking my oldest daughter to school and picking her up when she was going to Phelps. She was in high school. In some cases, her friends as well. And so it was again, and even now, like I said, it would have to be from her being able to speak and tell me some things that I was amiss about. Because I really thought
You covered it.
I covered not everything, but even as far as none of my kids are big kids, and we don't have a big family. But they had that protection of, we lived in Southeast, and we lived in neighborhoods that, you know, they talk about bullying and everything now. But I ain't never pick on my kids.
That's right.
And my kids never felt, they never, no, I can't, I apologize, I cannot speak on their behalf. But I know I gave it everything for my kids to feel well protected.
Absolutely.
If I'm eating lobster, they eating lobster.
Absolutely.
Okay? Just a lot of the things that was going on at that time, again, I'm a miss. And I'm sure, like I said, she can tell a great enough story that I haven't heard about what happened in this period of time where, and again, that's a whole nother subject that I can't really, you know, say enough about with the time that we had. But, you know, she went to school. You know, she was happy. She was, you know, the laughing type. Her and Sade was close. Birthdays close. So again, it was just one of those things that, you know, I don't know how the universe operates, because it'll be different if I could say, well, you know, it was some times we was pretty cold. There was some times we were pretty hungry. There was some times we moved from this point to this point. We always kept it home. We didn't live with family members. We didn't move and move again. We laughed, we watched movies. I've always cooked. I've always cooked for them. Washed their clothes. Fold their clothes. I mean, it was just a lot of things that I thought was giving me,
I give you a play.
that was giving me joy. That was giving me, like, okay, it's gonna be,
That's
it's gonna be,
that's the part right there.
It's gonna be-
Doing the things that give you joy.
It's a
It gave me joy.
man, that made me. It was a
Yeah,
question.
talk about sword too. You gonna ask it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, because what he said made me think that maybe, well, on the question it says, do any of y'all feel, it's gonna be a two-part question. Do any of y'all feel it should have been you instead of her? And another, what I'm saying is that for your daughter, do you think she could be like blaming you?
and I said the bad guy. So I'm you know, when we talked about it earlier, I've been a bad guy. I can still be a bad guy. I can still be a bad guy. But again, I have flaws, I have imperfections, but at the same time, I go a lot harder than normal when I love you.
Absolutely.
So again, I was, and I still have the mindset that I wasn't an average guy. Again, you know, people mentally are fragmented, so you end up like, man, look, take my kids. You end up, it's cold in here. I did not go to work. I could not pay the bills. Mr. Johnson, you know, in order for them to come to school, they have to have a physical and a checkup. Done. Back then, you had to pay
I witnessed.
to catch to use transit. It wasn't, you know, everybody walked on the bus. Before they made it free, so you just signed the form. People don't even sign. I'm signing forms. I'm paying, and I'm actually physically taking you here, there, and everywhere. Now, again, can we do everything? I tried. And so, what ended up happening, you know, again, she would have to tell me. And there's one thing that I know that I'm different about, that can be devastating, and I thought about it. I don't visit graves. So it could be something that's tangible and big enough to somebody else, to my daughters, that maybe that's it. Man, you could at least took this to the grave site.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
But I honestly don't know, because again, you know, you can have those moments where somebody can say, well, oh, you know, we went over to such and such house and such. We don't know. But what I know, and like I said, how things changed when they changed, you know, it took me by surprise, and it caught me off guard, and I live with that. So you live with the saddest day ever, the most devastating thing that ever happened to you. And then, you know, you come to a point in your life where, again, man, you know, we like things to be storybook written. You know, like,
Yeah, like the-
man, here go the good part.
Easy.
Shit, man, you
Yeah,
live out a
yeah,
lifetime of,
Yeah.
it ain't the good part to
Your
it.
worst,
But,
your worst fit, your strongest part, and then baby girls. I mean, her life it hasn't given her the perspective to see your sacrifice. Like she's not able to see it. So it's like you do the good deed without the accolades. So I kind of see your point of view, and I see her because she like, I mean, she went. That's something. That's something for a little girl to go through. Like you said, she didn't give you the information where you can understand it. But clearly, she's going through something.
And so Dorsey, for you, because the question was two-part, it was, did you all wish it was flipped?
Hell yeah.
Wish it was you versus,
Hell yeah, I like to check out before.
yes, sir.
I don't want to say death, so if I say checked out, that's what I mean. Because I like to think I'm a real strong person. And I know how to manage my emotions better than most. But to understand that, the best way I can put it is, I would much rather her be here with her grandbabies now than me be here. Because I knew her passion for it.
Right,
Now, I can't match her.
right,
I only can do my part. And I know I'm doing different than what she gonna do.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So, hell yeah, I would love to have checked out before. I don't want to go through this life without her
Right.
at all. You know what I'm saying? To the point where I punish myself, like I said, in that span of time. I just had to be away from my children, my grandchildren, to find me. Not a woman, it had nothing to do with that. To find my emotions, because these emotions I ain't never felt before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And get right with me to get back in tune with my children and my grandchildren.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I had to rush back really because when my wife passed, my youngest daughter, she was about 26, 27 at the time. She had to deal with all the grandchildren coming to her and attracting to her. Oldest daughter had issues, my son had issues. But everybody loved their Aunt Mimi.
Right.
So it's like she holding it on, and now she got them at all 8 and 9. I got her and them on my shoulder.
Right.
So hell yeah, I don't regret it at all. It's making that statement,
Right.
but I loved her more. She could have my life any day,
Yes, sir.
any day she could have it.
Yes, sir.
And
Where
I
we-
said
where we at? What
365.
time,
What is this? It's 5:10.
so, yeah, let me be clear.
Anytime.
I can't even be philosophical about that. Anybody that I love, you know, I prefer in life, how they say, you're going to see everybody leave before you, or then
You can leave before somebody.
So the preference is that, you know, I don't want to see people that I love. But here's the greatest person in the world to me. I had no expectations, like I said, you know, at that time, Crystal was 27, I was 28. So it was what they expect. I didn't even, to be honest, I said, man, as crazy as I am, man, you know, she may decide to move on. But I would never want anything to happen to her. Ever. And of course, that means, I mean, I already had the expectation that, you know, something will happen to you.
Right.
That's my expectation. You know, we always say, no expectation to live past 21. You know, I ain't had no plan after that. I ain't really had a plan before that.
I can relate it.
Right.
So for a person to come into your life and give you that, like give you that meaning
Yeah, give you that.
to be taken away from you.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. How many times you asked why? You sit by yourself and talk to that big guy and say, why you do this to you?
I mean, I'm a little, you know, my brain is kind of different. I really don't question. I understand that that's how life works. I understand that that's how life works, and so what I get from that and what I share with people, you got to get the most out of what you have. So if given the opportunity, or given, if you want to say, a second chance, now I go even harder with the understanding, like you said, man, the hug, the kiss, it can change.
Exactly.
You know, what you just said.
Just to clear the air, I never asked.
That's,
All I did was say thank you for blessing me
I ain't know if you was just.
with this spirit.
And there you
Most
have it.
people in a lot of situations, we well, why? They make it personal. I never made it personal why it happened to her. I understood it because I knew what her health situation was. So I detached those emotions from me and just dealt with it with the reality of what it is. I know my wife is ailing and I'm dealing with it 15 and a half years. Every day I'm living in a state I could come to a door and that be my situation. Thank you, Lord, for giving me 16 years with one of the best women I ever met.
Right.
So that's where I always laid it at.
So let me see, oh, you was going to say
No,
something?
y'all want to speak on the
I was gonna say.
mind state about, you know, how we always go to the why me. Like I went through that for a while, but then I don't think I told you I was like, man, came to a time I was like, man, why not you?
Yeah,
So like you're saying you find yourself in a position where you at the bottom of the barrel, and you look like, why me? Then it's going, like, why not me? Like, why not? You got to come through it. And like from this episode, I think that's the lesson that, because all of us got different struggles. I think the lesson is y'all know how I am about the weak thing. I mean, you got bone up. If it happened to
It's a
you,
strong word, like, you know, I use that a lot. But it's a different context of how you can look at things. Again, like how I said, you know, everybody grieve different. Everybody deal with situations different. Different levels to, you know, what you may do or won't do. But it was something that we was just talking about that I was trying.
as far as why me?
Why me? There's an answer to everything. Now, how you want to define it, how you want to make it philosophical, how you want to make it suit you, to make you comfortable, it depends on the person, but it's a clear answer to why this happened. It's a clear, and I go back to accountability. You know, when things are a little rough in my life, I know why. I said I'm a bad guy. Then I got to change some things. I got to work on some things. I got to get better at some things.
Yet things happen to the good guy. Like nobody is exempt from this.
That's my point. But it's an answer to why it happened to.
It's one answer. It's life.
That's all that's
It's
it.
one answer. You're gonna go through this shit.
Yeah.
We gonna
Ain't
have
no
to check
escape.
in time and the check.
Ain't no escape.
So, in closing, man, this is an excellent one, man. In closing, man, you know, the people ask great questions. I know people probably gonna share this joint and revisit it and everything else, man. Even the youngins, you know what I'm saying? They down their head like, damn, salute. So for y'all, you know, and then me and Taiwan will say we want to say, but in closing, what would you give to the listener, man, that's, you know, that may experience this and you know, what how would you want to close on this? What you want them to walk away from? What you want them to walk away with? What would you like?
Honestly, at this point, I can't make anything up. Like I said, I'm not a good storyteller.
But if I'm right here, and I'm right behind you, man, I'm like, damn. I can't go through this shit, man. It just happened to me, son. I can't do it. I can't do it. I mean,
I was transparent about with my experiences. You know, a lot of times we may talk about I know somebody else. That's why I talk the way that I talk. That's why I share the things that I share. Meaning that, you know, like Shooter said, look, man, I didn't know that. I'm gonna give you one last thing to go with that. The hospital in which I was born is the hospital where my wife was taken. That's life.
That's right. Recycling yourself. Yeah.
Circle of life.
Why?
Because you gotta keep going.
There's no reason to ask why. It was the closest hospital. But that was just how heavy things, you know, can touch you and enlighten you in ways that you can go crazy. Or I was born there. They called my wife. She was called, and I can only share those stories in ways that I don't know how to tell a story. You can take whichever part you want from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I gave you what I got. Yeah. Come on, you big guy.
What you got, Doris?
First thing I would say is take a moment for you and cry. Because any man that gets in this situation is always going to be a brave person. And they always going to want to show their strength before their weaknesses. Personally, I don't think crying is an emotion.
I agree.
And it has to come out.
I agree.
But don't be so macho to where you can't bring yourself to a point of weakness to heal. So crying, it was that important for me. I had to take that 45-minute, 46-minute cry and let my pain, frustration, anger, disappointment, pressure I had on myself to the point where my nose bleed. It had to come out.
That's it.
And once I got through with the last tear dropping on my face, it was a new day. Secondly, find you a place of peace for yourself. Where if those emotions rise up, you check out no matter what. Like we could be in a conversation, I just do this. I'm in a place of peace now. No matter what's going on around me, I'm in a place of peace. And one thing I used to always tell my wife when she was going through her surgeries, and my mother, because my mother passed 6 months before my wife. So, you know, that's a different story. But I used to always tell my wife when she's going into surgery, put your headgear and your gloves on. It's time to rumble. At the end of the day, you got to go on. At the end of the day, you got to be somebody's father, somebody's grandfather, somebody's brother, somebody's cousin, somebody's nephew. And those people looking for you to be that. So put your headgear and your gloves on. It's time to rumble. To where you in a place where you don't need the headgear no more. That's what I believe to. My name Clarence Dorsey. Look me up on the book. If there's a brother going through that, I got 2 years for him, and I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yes, sir.
Because he always can. Always can.
Thank
You always can listen more than you can talk because you got 2 years in one mouth. And that was the key point for me for my buddy with his mom. And that's what I told him. I say, Slim, right now I don't have the word to give you because it's not no cookie cutter solution. Put your headgear on. No, I say, cry, put your headgear on and rumble. And if you need somebody to talk to, here's my number. He called me. Man, my wife's birthday coming. Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now you a safe place? Cry through that pain. Rumble. Young man, rumble. And he talked to me for about 35 minutes. We both crying because I'm through his testimony. You finished crying? Man, big dog. I ain't know how to get through it. You're like, man, how am I gonna get through that? It's no easy solution. But you gotta face it because it's you. That's like running through a fire with gasoline on, and you the safety of your family on the other side. What you gonna do?
Right.
So, I mean, you know, like I said, man, anybody want to reach out to me, they can inbox me. They want to chop it up, need somebody to talk to, or need somebody to listen to them, I'm always going to be available.
I'm gonna say that you can use that about the crime thing. You agree with that? The crime help you?
No, what I know is, for men, when they come to being masculine or macho, you know, we tend to believe, and when I said I agree, you know, if that's what your reality is when it comes to your emotional state, you need to get that off. You know, I agree, get that off. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in suppressing that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I know the traumas that all of us have faced. You know what I'm saying? So I believe it. I believe you should give off whatever you got to get off emotionally, whatever way you get off. For somebody else, it may not be a cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It may be fishing, it may be music, it may be whatever the case may be. But I know amongst men, there's this false narrative that if you cry, that's a sign of weakness. And so that's what I don't agree with.
Well, crying, I don't think it's a sign of it. It's a sign of sometimes like people get upset. You can get so upset it brings tears to you.
Right.
So your crying only makes you more infuriated. So people don't like to let that go because it's so emotional. Especially with young guys.
Outpouring of emotion.
But
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah, so young guys, like, and even myself, it's too much energy. Like, I have cried, went to sleep, and woke up feeling better. But I've cried and it made me even more mad.
Right.
So it's like you say, like, there's different ways, I guess, to go at it.
Right.
But with the lesson I got out of this was just that, like you say, man, it was crazy, but you just got muscled up.
See, but here's what's really crazy. Took one day off work. Right back to work.
You gotta keep stepping.
And what I say to that
Same
is,
thing is, but you got to work.
what I would say to that is, in closing for myself, one, I appreciate both you brothers, man, coming on and being very transparent, man, and you know, real vulnerable, man, situation. You all express some things, you know, you allow people, you know, you allow the public, man, inside your space, man, and you know, that take a lot, you know what I'm saying, and you all did it courageously, you know what I'm saying, so, you know, I want to salute, you know, yeah, both of y'all, man, on your journey.
Definitely helped me.
Yeah. I'm praying to myself. I can't imagine, you know, doing neither of the things that you all have done. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine it. But I'm praying to Allah that what you all just did, you gave me ammunition in my backpack. And so, you know, if that day do come, you know what I'm saying, I'll be able to reach back into that backpack, what we got today, you know what I'm saying? So I saw some material deep down inside of all of us that we got. You know what I'm saying, by listening to this. I listened to what y'all said. And so there's a material inside of us, man, that I'm glad to know that it's there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you know, we don't think of that. You know what I'm saying? We don't go that deep into it, you know. We gotta be so thankful for the next second. And sometimes we take that junk for granted. And for both of y'all to walk into situations where you walk in houses with that second really was very, very important. You know what I'm saying? And so it was a lot of that period of time that both of y'all said that morning, left her, you know, this, that, and the other. You just on the phone, this, that, and the other. So I took all that in. And so for me, man, you know, I'm thankful that I know that there's a material inside of us all. You know what I'm saying? That'll get us through those moments, man. So this was a good one, man. The man code, man.
I got one more.
Go
Hey,
ahead.
I wanted to say that because as deep as this was, just think about how normal it is for the female.
Yeah.
All of them cried on that.
Yeah, the female, yeah.
So the strength we just showed, they walk around with us.
The thing is women are 50 times more emotional than we are. So they're gonna deal with a lot of stuff
They're more stronger. But in that, we gonna close out, cause, we ain't gonna make
I
this
ain't
about
making
y'all
no
today,
difference,
man, so, man code, we out,
Man, man code, man. Yeah, that's what we do, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Man code. Peace till the next one.
Rumble.
Hey, man.
Always. Always. Dawson. Yes, sir. That was a good one. Yeah. That was a good one. Would be.
Yeah.
Man,
That.
get hit with on.
At the beginning, man,
I told him, I said,
You got it, bro. No, man, yeah.